Welcome to the Draw Club podcast with myself, Zane Scotland. It's been a big week in the world of golf. I'm going to be talking about LIV Golf, about two really good wins last weekend, and also some tips and maybe some things that's going to help you with your golf game at the end. So, yeah, let's get into it. What's happened this week? In 2021, the Saudi Public Investment Fund decided to launch LIV Golf, and it was going to change golf. It was going to revolutionise it, and it's been golf but louder. And now we're here 5 years on, and they've now announced that they're going to pull. There will be no funding from the PIF from 2026, so from next year. They have also indefinitely postponed their June event in New Orleans, I believe. So that's not great news. And yeah, where does that leave a lot of those players? Where does it leave some of my pals that have gone to the broadcast? Probably feels very uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty going on in the world, and that was probably what has prompted them changing their tact somewhat and how much funding they're going to put in. With the pressure in the region, in the Middle East. So yeah, what does this actually mean for LIV golfers? What does it mean for LIV golfers? So first of all, the uncertainty. They've not said they're not carrying on. What they've said is, let me get the right terminology, is that they've appointed a new board. So Yasir has stepped down, and there's now an independent board. So far, the PIF has invested $5 billion. It's been reported that they've been burning through about $100 million per month. And the new independent board is hunting for a diversified multi-partner investors. So they're trying to break away and then now join the model of the rest of the golfing world of trying to find multiple different commercial partners to fund these golf tournaments so we can see some of the best players in the world entertain the golfing fans and all that goes with it. And that's not an easy job because the biggest investor into golf has got to be America, outside of what the Saudis have done more recently. And it works in America. It just does. The market is there for it. They love their sport. So the PGA Tour is a trusted brand that's been around for many, many years. And this is kind of twofold, really. I mean, they've got the difficulty now of, right, the one big thing they had going for them is they had backing. They didn't have decades of fantastic golf tournaments and experience building up and prestige building up, which is kind of why we all watch the PGA Tour, and probably why we didn't so much watch the LIV Golf Tour, because it's a story that goes behind the championships, the players, the journeys, and that was always going to be one thing that LIV Golf are going to be struggling against because they had no story because it was so new. The one thing they did have was the funding. That funding's gone, so they've got to find it elsewhere. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. It definitely won't look like it. It definitely is not going to be in the manner that had it before, coming from one entity and kind of getting carte blanche to do what they wanted to do. But it doesn't mean that it's completely dead. I think LIV Golf will live on. It will just look very, very different. Is this now an opportunity for another tour to engulf some of their events, accept some of their players back? There's been two prominent players who've left LIV and started their journey back towards the PGA Tour. There's been more, but the two prominent players are Patrick Reed and Brooks Koepka. There was a time limit on the offer that was extended to them. Brooks took it straight away. He's paid his fines. He's back in. Patrick Reed is going a slightly longer route. I think it's like a year ban. He's taking a longer route to get back there. He's doing that via the DP World Tour. Now, what's that going to look like if any other players now decide to come back? You would imagine it has to be more difficult than those two players have had it. So that's the next question. And there will be some players now maybe scrapping around to think, right, this is my career is on the line here. I came for the money coming from the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. That's now gone. So now they've got to trust in some people that they don't necessarily know or don't have the history with, or they didn't originally sign for or sign with. And do they trust these new people? That's the question they're going to be asking themselves. The wider industry is an interesting one. You've got a lot of agents, tournament organisers, tournament broadcasters who have gone there, left the establishment, let's say in broadcasting, they've left the establishment of golfing broadcast at this point, and they've gone across to the exciting new world of LIV Golf and what that could be. Now that's not necessarily put on pause, but again, there's uncertainty. Will any of those be coming back? Maybe, maybe not. Will they be allowed back? Maybe, maybe not. That's something that I've got a couple of friends who've moved across to LIV Golf. What would that look like? They're very good broadcasters, but it provides opportunities for someone new to come in, and those spots are being filled. So, that's going to be another question. So, what's it? LIV Golf is essentially being seen off by the spreadsheet. It's been killed off by the spreadsheet in its current form, as opposed to being taken down by the PGA Tour. That was still in the balance. It did feel like the PGA Tour were winning because, fortunately, there's been a few good stories over the last couple of years which have really kept it going. And you've had some stalwarts like Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, for instance, not jumping ship and really doubling down and creating their stories and making those better. And that's been a really interesting follow. So I'm sure there's going to be more to come. There's lots of uncertainty. We don't know much, but what we do know is LIV Golf will exist completely differently. The PIF are pulling out their funding. A new independent board has been put in place to find diversified multi-partner investors. Yasir has stepped down, and it's an interesting one. We'll see. I'm sure more will come out. I think it will be probably 3 or 4 more months before we get something rock solid of what's going to happen. But it does seem like LIV Golf will carry on, but nowhere near, not looking anything like it looks at the moment. But we'll see. So, drifting on from that, back to regular golf, the PGA Tour. So last weekend was the Zurich Classic. Zurich Classic is a pairs event, which Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry won last year. It's a pretty decent golf course, and there are different formats each day. So there's foursomes, there's better ball. It alternates during the week. So foursomes means alternate shots. So that it's across 18 holes of golf. In the pair, one player takes the odd holes to tee off, and the other partner takes the even holes to tee off. And then from that point, they play alternate shots. So that's a slightly trickier format. And then the more comfortable format is the 4-ball better ball. So 4-ball better ball basically means that in the pairs, it's your best score of your pair counts for the hole. So on the Saturday, Matt Fitzpatrick and Alex Fitzpatrick really turned it on and shot a 57. So what's that? 15 under par to boost themselves into contention, into the lead of the tournament going into the last round. And what made that significant was we all know Matt Fitzpatrick has been playing some fantastic golf. So he kind of lost his way a little bit about a year and a half ago. Wasn't playing up to his potential. And then as the Ryder Cup neared, he really started to turn it on and played fantastic golf running into the Ryder Cup. Had a good Ryder Cup, was on the winning team, and then continued that form this year. So then he came out this year, he finished second at the Players to Cam Young, nearly won that, played some terrific golf there. Then the Valspar the very following week after that kind of crushing loss at the Players Championship, went ahead, birdied the last hole to win the Valspar Championship. Brilliant. He's back in. He's a PGA Tour winner. had a pretty good Masters, then went down to Hilton Head the week after the Masters and won again. Ran a course, so that's the second time he'd won there. A course that he'd spent a lot of time at growing up randomly. His family had holidayed there. And so in that, it's a terrific start to the season. Nearly won the Players, good Masters, 2 PGA Tour wins. His brother had won on the DP World Tour the week after the Valspar. So there was back-to-back winners of Matt on the PGA Tour and Alex Fitzpatrick on the DP World Tour. Terrific. So Alex is pretty fresh on the DP World Tour, only been going for a couple of years, got his first win, made a win, brilliant. He's on his way up. Then the opportunity of the Zurich Classic comes around, and Matt obviously requests an invite for his brother Alex to partner him in the PGA Tour event, which has full PGA Tour status, to play with him in the PGA Tour, granted him that access. And they found themselves on Sunday tied for the lead. Oh, no, not tied for the lead, in the lead. Brilliant. But massive pressure. Normally, it would be kind of low pressure for a lot of the players because they've got a partner, they've already got the PGA Tour card. But in this time, it was different because you've got Alex, who's playing on the DP World Tour. 6 months ago, he's outside the top 280 players in the world, making his way up. And now, in front of him, is his opportunity. If they win, he gets straight to the PGA Tour. He gets a 2-year exemption, and he gets all the signature events, which in golfing terms is life-changing. Also gets you in the PGA Championship, gets you in the 2027 Player Championship. So it is life-changing in golfing terms. And it did not go all their way in the last round. It did get tight. It did get a bit nervy. Matt didn't play his very best golf coming down the stretch in the in the foursomes. And Alex played some terrific golf on the back nine. Played a great lob shot late on, which was Seve-esque, which was in a really tough spot, which would is very much a spot where if you get that wrong, you could make double bogey. Pitched it up to within a couple of feet. And then on 17, there's a pass where he walks it down the left. Alex's tee shot, big moment for the lad. Sticks it in there to 15, 18 feet, just right at the hole. Classy shot. And then they go to 18. 18 is a par 5, walks down the right-hand side. Long, probably maybe just out of reach. Big brother, Matt, steps up, pipes it straight down the middle. Big tee shot, big pressure, straight in the middle, great. Alex, second shot, goes for it with 3-wood, doesn't quite get it, comes up in the bunker about 40 yards away, probably one of the worst places he could have left it. The 40-yard bunker shot, not on the grass, that's pretty easy. On the fairway, that's easy. Even from a bit of rough, that's not too bad. But in the bunker, big brother Alex, Matt, goes in there and just plays a delightful bunker shot, flies it all the way, one hop, zips up next to the hole to tap in distance, to leave Alex, his little brother, the opportunity to tap in to get a full PGA Tour card. And obviously, he duly did that. And Matt came onto the green. There was hugs, smiles. I'm sure there was a few tears. And watching the interview afterwards, Alex kind of joked that maybe this was the biggest moment of Matt's career, or most high pressure moment, and Matt didn't deny it. So this shows what a moment that would be for the brothers, for the family, to help your brother get onto the PGA Tour. So yes, Alex definitely held his own, played some terrific golf, but he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for Matt playing. Matt probably wouldn't have played that event if it wasn't in between signature events, if it wasn't for playing with his brother. So a family affair, and that was just absolutely brilliant. But it was just a reminder of how thin the margins are, of one shot, 2 shots here or there across a week can be completely life-changing. And good luck to Alex for the rest of the season. It's brilliant that he's now going to have his big brothers to kind of guide him around. It's tough the first year on the PGA Tour because purely because a lot of the guys know the courses, they know the run, but he's going to have a bit of an advantage with Matt being there. But, he's going to take a little bit of time, 6 months or so, to get to a year to find his feet, I'm sure. But the future is looking really good for Alex Fitzpatrick and Matt. He's looking pretty good for him coming into the majors. So well done to them. Now, in the women's game, there was a major championship, and that was at the Chevron Championship at Memorial Park in Houston. So the Chevron has moved around. It used to be at Mission Hills, and they had a thing called Poppy's Pond, which is basically, it was a pond next to the 18th green, and it was tradition that the winner would jump into the pond. And for money reasons, they moved the golf course. They started moving this major around. So it's now moved to this place, Memorial Park. And they've had to kind of remake Poppy's Pond so the winner could jump into it. So it kind of feels, it feels a bit naff that they've kind of not man-made or cultivated this pond for the winner to jump into, and it's not the same pond. But does it work? Maybe. Anyway, so it was hotly contested. There's lots of really good players, really good performers in the women's game, and it's very, very international, which is great. There's a couple of players. I think, being a Brit, we all know, we all kind of keep an eye out for Charlie Hull. She's an exciting character, exciting golfer. She's in the conversation for best player in the world not to have won a major? I would also put Tommy Fleetwood in that category. So 2 English people who are best players not to have won a major yet. You can't help but think that by the end of their career, we will not be saying that. I think they all both win a major at some point. And every time a major rolls around, you think this could be Charlie's time. It wasn't Charlie's time. She was able to manage a top 10, another good performance. She's having a really good year so far. So that was really good to see. But the winner was probably the most famous women's golfer over the last kind of 10 years or so, and that was Nelly Korda. Nelly Korda, wire-to-wire performance leading after every single round, kind of cruised it, really. Cruised it. I mean, missed a few short putts in the last round, but made absolutely no difference. Took a 6-stroke lead going into the last round and was able to see it off with ease, really. I mean, her game is centered around, from a fan's point of view, that beautiful golf swing that she has. So she's got a fantastic golf swing, very, very orderly, very well coached, and has been able to maintain flow. So back when I was first turned pro, I would go down to the IMG Academy in Florida, and there was a Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy, and there was a David Ledbetter Golf Academy down there, and they would take all these youngsters and they would train in the mornings. Go to school in the mornings and train every afternoon with top coaches, 3, 4, 5 hours, coached, cultivated. Next day, back to school in the morning, training in the afternoon. School in the morning, training in the afternoon. Weekends, playing golf, playing tennis. So Nelly Korda, daughter of Peter Korda, her sister is also a world-class golfer, has taken some time out to have a baby, and her brother's a professional tennis player. So very much a sporting family. But goes to show, yes, there is some talent, but it's the work ethic and it's the environment that really brings that glue together. And she's got a fantastic golf swing. You'd be really hard pushed to find a better golf swing than Nelly Korda. My top 3 favourite swings, or favourite, golfers as such, outside Tiger Woods, those sort of people, but let's say favourite swings for different reasons. So Nelly Korda and Adam Scott, who I think are quite comparable in that got lots of longevity in their golf swings, aesthetically pleasing, they look really nice, and they produce fantastic golf shots. And the other one would be Lee Trevino, it's shorter, it's a bit more industrious, but the control that he has on the golf ball, you can just see it through the ball. You see the impact how he's able to hold the face to the target for so long. He just looked so much in control. Not long, but that really worked. It's really worth going on the internet and onto YouTube and looking at some of the Lee Trevino footage, just in how quickly he played, the different types of shots he played, the control that he had, the confidence that he played with. It's a really good watch. So go ahead and have a look. But back to Nelly, got fantastic goal. She's got fantastic goal swing, and she hits the ball a long way, which is a big key, which we know in all sorts of golf now, in the men's game and the women's game. But this was her 17th LPGA title, a 21st win worldwide, and she picked up a winner's check of $1.35 million. I was listening to the Sky Sports podcast, and they had Dame Laura Davis on there, and they went back to when she had won the Open, the Women's British Open, I think at Birkdale, and her check was $15,000. So Laura Davis, major champion, won $15,000. Granted, it was in the 80s, but Nelly Korda's win produced a nice little transfer of $1.35 million. Well, she probably doesn't see all of that because there'll be withholding tax, but still pretty damn good. Gino Titicun has got reclaimed world number one. It's the 7th time she's held that spot with her top finish there this week. And yeah, is this it? Is this going to be the summer of Nelly Korda? 2 years ago, she won 6 times in a row, and I just thought, right, this is it. She's the next Annika. Last year, she was able to win 0 times. There were loads of different winners last year, not many repeat winners, and Nelly Korda was not one of them, which is mind-blowing, really. But she's come out this year, all guns blazing, playing really nicely, and claimed her 3rd major championship. So well done to Nelly Korda, and we look forward to seeing the rest of the major season. And it's really thick and fast now with majors for the women and the men. In the men's game, we have a major a month, which I'm super pumped about. Don't really like it in the off time because it feels like you've got ages between majors, but when it comes, it is actually that really good. The next major taking place in the middle of May at Aronimink. Who's going to be my pick? We'll talk about it close to the time. But right now, my 2 people are going to be Justin Rose, because he's won the PGA Tour at Aronimink before, and then Patrick Reed. Small greens, a little bit upturned saucers. It's going to be tricky. He's an absolute wizard around the greens and with the wedge. You'd be hard pressed to find a better wedge player than Patrick Reed in the game right now. So, yeah, unfortunately, Patrick Reed. I say unfortunately, I've never met him, and most people that have met him really like him, but he does have a little bit of history. He's quite a polarising character. Right then, so into more of the final segment now. So, being a golf lover, being a coach, you see I work with different players, and there are some things which are kind of prevalent between the new and poorer players and the very good and experienced players. And there's not many times when a new player will come in to the academy, a new golfer to the academy. So like that can be a good player or a relatively new golfer, someone who's been playing a year or so. And they have a really good system for how they hit the shot they're trying to play. And from playing on tour, when you talk to the top players, now whether it's logically or geometrically correct, if you ask a player how they play a shot, they'll tell you how they do it. And sometimes you see things like I saw Ian Poulter do a piece on the Open Zone a few years ago, and he was talking about how he shaped the ball. And let's say this is how he shaped a fade. And he said he puts the face on the target and he swings across it, and and that means that then the ball starts left and it will cut to the right. And that's how he plays the fade. That's how everyone should play their fade. And I mean, if you're being left to the law, that's incorrect, because the ball starts where the face aims, and then it will spin in the opposite direction of where the path is headed. And that's how I was taught. That's how it was originally written in the PGA manual. Sorry, that's not how I was taught. That's not how it was originally written in the PGA manual. It was the other way. It was you put the face on the target, you swing to the left, the ball starts where you swing it, and it ends up where the face is pointing. Now, that's what Ian Poulter said on air. He said, this is what I do. I put the face there, I line up here, I swing here. And categorically, that was logically incorrect, geometrically incorrect, but the ball flight came out exactly what he said it was going to do. So, who's the genius there? This is what he does, and it produced what he wanted. So that's the main outcome for it all. And he does that time after time, and that's why he's a world-class golfer. So as a coach, you want to give people the right information, and part of my journey as a coach, all coaches, is to improve the industry as a whole, to make golfers better now than they were previously and going forward. And there's loads of statistics to say the golfers haven't improved, blah, blah, blah. But you get into, there's now more golfers and more new golfers. And what is a golfer? Is it a crazy golfer, top golf golfer, or is it someone who's a member of a golf club and plays on green grass golf? There's all these different things. But having that, how do you prepare for a shot, is so important. Now, that work out your own way of playing a shot. You can do that via practice. You can go and find a good coach to help you build that, but that's absolutely prevalent. What you don't want to do is someone ask you, how do you hit a fade, or your fade shot you hit, and you have no answer for them. It just kind of happens. That won't last. That will lead to inconsistency. So you want to get consistent, you want to take control of the things that you can control, which is your setup. I set up like this, that produces this shot. I set up like in a different way, that produces that shot. That's how you do it. Now, the next part would be, what do I think makes up a really good golfer? So if I was going to go back in time and go, right, take a 14-year-old Zane Scotland and say, this is how you become a great golfer, this is what I would do. Get really good at holding out from inside 8 feet. That's one part. Be good from that point. Be good, really good at holding out from that part. The next part would be to then, with the putting, work on great touch. That, for me, is the biggest part of putting and the most important part. They're all important, but have great touch. If you have great touch, you've got more chance of holding the putts, and you get a lot less free putts doing that. So that's the putting part of it. Great touch, and just be good from holding out for inside 8 feet. Short game. Have a baseline chip shot. If you can have a Seve Ballesteros short game, if you can have a Phil Mixon short game, great. But just have a baseline chip shot. Because if you have a baseline chip shot, you can move from 7s and 8 iron chip and runs to sand wedge to a really high lofted lob wedge, even a 62 or 64 degree lob wedge, which you can use basically the same action, and that will produce your different flights for you. And practice that until the cows come home to learn your touch with all those clubs. Just a baseline chip shot. You can usually get around the golf course doing that. You can get, if you're in a position where you have to hit a lob shot, that's usually bad course management, or you should be in a spot to just get back in play. You haven't got to play a hero shot. If you can, great. But a baseline chip shot. So we've got holding out from 8 feet, really good touch on the greens. Short game, baseline, chip shot. Then from 50 yards to 120 yards, know your club head speed numbers. Because your club head speed numbers produces how far the ball goes. Be really good at those numbers. So get really tidy at that. Now, whether you go through different length backswings, or if you just do it via feel, that's okay. But find your one. Do you do it through length of swing, or do you do it through feel? Pick one or the other. Now, with approach play and iron play, rewinding, I would go back, and it is something I've done really, really well when I've been playing my best golf, and sometimes that's drifted off, and that would be to move the ball both ways. Learn how to hit draws and fades on call. have a system for how you do it. Even if you prefer one shot, know how to hit the other shot. Because there are some shots which have a left-hand pin. If you can aim it at the middle of the green and hit a draw and get that thing to land in the middle of the green, it'll roll towards the hole. It depends on the right. You can hit a fade to the middle of the green, that thing will roll towards the pin. So being able to move the ball both ways with the iron shots. Then with fairway woods, probably the best advice I have for fairway woods, especially when, you know, off of the fairway, not teed up, not on the tee, would be to treat them like an iron. So you want to hit down a little bit on a fairway wood. You're not trying to sweep it, you're not trying to nick it off the top, you're not trying to hit it on the up. You want to hit a slight bit down. So I would set up to a fairway wood like you would an iron, because you want to go ball then turf. All the best fairway wood players take a tiny little bit of divot and they have that kind of squeeze out there, in my opinion. And then off the tee. So off the tee, there's two shots. You want to have a fairway finder, and then you want to have your normal optimum tee shot, which does provide a little bit of an issue, because the drivers we get fit for now tend to be fit around an optimum tee shot. Now, the difficulty that produces is that I'm going to go out and pay, let's say it costs £600-800, over $1,000 for a driver, and it's going to be fit in a studio or with TrackMan, with launch monitor, and how do you optimize that club to its nth degree? So, you know, for someone like an upcoming player, it's going to be like a real stiff shaft, a relatively low loft, and that means it has to be swung at a certain speed. So for me, for instance, I reckon I swing it between 112 and 115. So if I'm going to go and get a driver fit, the flex, the weight, the kick points, the loft, the amount of spin the ball creates, is a lot of that is attached to the speed in which I swing it. So I need to swing it between 112 to 115 to make that custom fitted club work. Now, if I drop my speed, so a fairway finder, let's say my fairway finder would drop to say 108, 109 miles per hour, 110 miles per hour. Now that club is not fit for that. It's fit for 5 miles per hour more. So that then does present a bit of an issue. You can find ways around it, and as long as you know what it does, that can help. So that's something you've got to get your own head around. What type of golfer are you? Are you going to be someone who goes full send, or do you play kind of that medium kind of, I'm just going to play a nice, smooth, connected drive? One option is, and get fit for that, one option is, which is getting really popular now, is the mini driver. So the mini driver can cater for your fairway finder. And I've started using a mini driver, and I've got quite a few players that have been purchasing mini drivers over the last 6 months. And I cannot tell you, I mean, I'll give you my opinion in a minute, but I cannot tell you the amount of golfers that come in, just bought this mini driver, it's such a good club. Just bought this mini driver, I love it. Just bought this mini driver, it's as good as my driver. Just bought this mini driver, I don't even know why I have a 3-wood anymore. The next question is, do I need a 5-wood or a 7-wood? Where do I go? So right now, I'm going to be a real advocate of the mini driver. In my bag setup, I've got driver, which I've actually decided to switch to a fade rather than a draw. It's actually built for a draw, and when I can hit a fade with it, but if I'm being really honest, it sometimes drops down to length of the mini driver, so then there's no point in it. But so I'm going to have to go and get refit my driver to cater for the fade. So just recapping a little. I'll recap at the end. So I'll go driver, then mini driver, which I've got set at 13 degrees, and it's I think it's probably about 42.5 inches in length, so a little bit shorter. And then I had a bit of a gap because I had a 4-wood, but I've really been struggling with fairway woods to get one that I like, because a lot of them have quite shallow faces, and I want a deeper face one where I've not been able to find yet. And I don't really like the shallow face. So then I put a 2-iron back in the bag, a graphite 2-iron, the Callaway UT, which I'm loving, because it means if I have to get the ball in the fairway, I hit the 2-iron. because I like it. It doesn't shape as much because it doesn't have the gear effect of a wood. So if you mishit it a little bit, it will fly relatively straight. Whereas if I mishit the forward, it would shape it. You know, if I necked it, it would cut. If I towed it, it would draw. So I dropped the forward, put that in. And then I am tinkering with a 7 wood, which again, I do really like. It gets you out of lots of problems, but it has a really shallow face. So I'm trying to find one with a deeper face. That would be ideal. But yeah, going back to the original point. So driver, get fit for a driver that is fit for one shape. So when you walk to the tee, there's no confusion. You hit it this way. So you hit the shape that your driver is fit for. And that will really help you, because I'm definitely seeing a downturn in moving from a draw to a fade. I'm losing a lot of distance, so now I need to go and get refit to draw. So to recap, putting, be really good at holding out. Anywhere outside that, be really good with your touch. Baseline chip shot and a baseline bunker shot. Those two. Don't worry about all the fancy stuff. Just get baseline. Go and work with a coach. It's super simple. And just go and get your baseline. Don't worry about getting all fancy with it. Then wedge play, choose. Do you do it off feel or do you do it off length of backswing? To manage all the off-speed shots, anything less than a full shot. Iron play, work out how to move the ball right to left and left to right. Not saying you have to play with it all the time, but just know how to do both different shots. Have those two different options. Fairway woods, play them like an iron and hit down them a little bit. And then top end of the bag, a fairway finder. Now, whether that's via technique is fine, but try and find the club that does it for you. And driver, get fit for one shot and play that shot that you've spent all that money and spent all that time getting fitted for. Play that shot. Don't play another shot. If you want to change a shot, these days you can change the loft, you can change the shaft super easy. So go ahead and do that. Going to leave that there for now. There's going to be lots more that we can talk about and get into. Really hope that you've enjoyed this podcast. I keep promising getting guests on. I've tried to get a couple of guests on. We've had to change the setup of the studio environment, and we're still working through, myself and Surab, the producer, fantastic producer, are working through how we're going to exactly make that work. We've had a couple of trial runs and it hasn't quite worked out, but I promise we'll absolutely get there. But yes, happy golfing, everybody. Hope you get your golf game sorted for this weekend. As I said last week, see, feel, do. If you can do that, see your shot, go with the feeling, step in, do it. That will probably be the best way of getting out of your game, the best it's going to be, whether it's good or bad. And yeah, so happy golfing to everybody, and we will catch you next week.